Benchmarks. It's one of the cornerstones of what ForeSee is and was and will be. Because when you have all this wonderful algorithmic data, having it in context makes it make sense. You heard from Sarah's video yesterday that one of her clients came to her and said they really want to improve this, but because the benchmark really showed that they were the top of the heap, concentrate on something else. Move on to something else. And so you've heard a lot of the scores. You heard Nicole from Proactive on this stage yesterday saying that she had a 20-point increase. A 20-point increase is magical. It's very difficult to do. But a 1 or 2-point increase could have $1 million or $10 million change to your business. So I want to show you where the industry stacks up. We have a lot of data. And it's one of the great benefits of being in my role, being able to speak at conferences with this data, is we have 200 million completed surveys with about 3 to 5 open-ended verbatims on each, with about whatever the question count is. Think about the amount of data points that we have to play with. There's a lot of great data out there. And across the different countries and languages, we really can understand the heart of the consumer wherever they are. So let's look at benchmarks by channel, by touch point, which is the classic way of looking at it, where we have the web, the classically defined web, the big browser web, at the lowest form, at the lowest score, 68, compared to the in-store experience at an 88. Now, the store's the highest because we use the receipt-based invitation. Those are all customers. Customers are generally happier than prospective customers or browsers like web. So that's why the polarity exists there. But you can see that in the middle, mobile phone and mobile app are doing okay. The only thing that's decreased year over year is mobile app. And that's because our expectations for mobile have increased considerably over the last few years. I mean, like Pete said, the iPhone's only been around for 10, less than 10 actually. Steve Jobs announced it in the beginning of 2007. It's a great presentation, by the way, if you've ever seen it. You go back on YouTube and watch the reveal of it. It's so archaic now, but it's got a lot of charm to it. All right, now let's look at the benchmarks in a different way. You can look at things by channel, and then you can look at them by industry. So utilities, 55 on a scale of 0 to 100. And with the consumer packaged goods companies, that's they don't transact commerce on there, or at the highest. But the thing for me is that 2 points is statistically significant. This is a wide range of customer experience scores. And so wherever you are in your scoring, when you see it in context, it makes a lot of sense. So if you're a financial services company, where do you stack up from a customer experience perspective? Where do you stack up from an NPS perspective? NPS is one of those metrics that you probably use. And so to see the range here and it's a negative 100 to 100 scale, to go from negative 13 up to 45, this is a broad range of experiences. Now it's important that we note that broad range because the expectations that people have when they go to a utility site are set by the CPG experiences that they have. So we can't hide from this in the customer experience world. Wherever you are, the bar is being set by the world-class experiences. And you'll hear from Andy in a second from Gander Mountain about when you're passionate about customer experiences and you create great customer experiences, whatever company you are, you have to be able to hold yourself to the highest standard. Well, let's take a little deep dive into financial services. This is one of those industries that's actually down year over year. So banks are down 3 points year over year. For you financial services folks in the room, that is huge. That means that the expectations that people have, and we're here, we're not meeting those expectations. So if the site stays the same for a long enough period of time, or the experience stays the same for a long enough period of time, expectations will rise, and that delta is when the points drop. And another financial services look, but I think it's important just to account for this in customer experience, is the authenticated versus non-authenticated experience. When somebody logs into a financial services site and they're in there, the experience that they have is 10 points better than if they're in the non-authenticated experience when they're browsing before they become a customer generally. This is huge. This is the same person in 2 different, places in your organization's customer experience. Now, this is the financial services example, but I'll tell you, this is the exact reason why Amazon wins in retail. Amazon does one thing that everybody else doesn't do, and it's not delivering a great customer experience. They're pretty good at that. I mean, they do good things, but they force authentication. So think about your personal experience with Amazon. You log in the mobile app, you log into the mobile phone, you log in on your website. When you log into Amazon, you have an experience that's much better than when you don't log in. And that difference is the difference of why people love Amazon. Now, when you go to one of your retail sites, it's hard to encourage somebody to log in. Because if they logged in, you'd know that they were browsing and then bought into store. You'd know if they were part of your loyalty program. And Amazon has figured out a way to create a chasm between those folks who authenticate, better experience, and those folks that don't. So this is true in every industry, and this just happens to be the financial services example. That make sense? Yeah. We feel very strongly about putting thought leadership out there into the world. My colleague Dave Luan, he's a tall gent, so where are you, man? Where is he? Hey, bud. So Dave runs our government business, and he authors this study quarterly, the ForeSee Experience Index for Government. Now, we're not going to get into the detail too much of this, but you should expect this from us, to take stock of the industries that we're in and to produce insights that further the customer experience industry, or in this case, the citizen experience. We also produce the ForeSee Experience Index for Retail. I'm just going to jump into some of the data here because, well, mostly because my name's on it, so I know a lot about it. But I also wanted to thank Joyce Davis, our analyst. Where is she? Hi. Thank you, Joyce. Can we give her a hand? She worked tirelessly on this data with our other colleague, Christopher. And it's just an amazing thing to be able to work with people like this when you're looking at the data. I mean, it's amazing. So let's dig into this a little bit, because I think the ForeSee Experience Index for Retail is a good indicator for how things are out there on the web. And in order to know where you stand in customer experience, we have to know what world-class looks like. So world-class winners for store, web, and mobile are pictured here. Saks Fifth Avenue and Apple are the big winners in the in-location experience. Amazon wins in both web and mobile, but really wins in mobile. And again, it's that authenticated experience is the reason why. And then our wonderful client, L.L.Bean, shows up twice. Is Catherine here from L.L.Bean? Nice job. Let's give her a hand. That's awesome. L.L.Bean does so many amazing things. I'm going to show you an example in a second here. But we do this in order to continually prove to the world and to the market that when you have a better customer experience, you have positive financial results. We're not just doing this for fun. It's because it drives the business forward. And so they're 74% more likely to recommend when somebody has a good customer experience. 58% more likely to purchase in any channel. And the thing about mobile, which is now a bona fide purchase channel, given that $1 billion were transacted on Black Friday in mobile, is that they're 64% more likely to purchase in mobile in that session when they have a better customer experience. Now, you can be one of the enlightened ones and say something like, oh, I don't care where they purchase, wherever they are on the journey. And, I say that sometimes, but I know that you're held accountable to conversion rates and things like that. So anything that you can do to create an experience where somebody transacts and has that conversion event is worth it. Oh, so this is L.L.Bean. I mean, think about what L.L.Bean did here with customer experience data. They redefine what the standard now is for a product detail page. So you get into a site by whatever means, you search for something, and then you get to that magical place, which is the product detail page. This is where decisions are made, right? I mean, we all know this personally. And so it used to be that a product detail page was very lengthy north to south this way, where you had the image, the other images, the sizing, the shipping information, and then if you like this, you might like this stuff. It was very long and vertical, and this is back to the concept of below the fold, and how do we solve this below the fold? But you know how you do it? You do what L.L.Bean does. You take north to south, and you make it east-west. What a simple, elegant, customer-driven solution. Genius. This is the standard, and every site in the world will look like this over the next 5 years on the product detail page. Because it's right. Look how much you get left to right here on this browser. And I'll tell you the one thing that L.L.Bean does that is magical. Is it okay that I'm talking about you this much? Yeah, she's like, yeah, right. Is acknowledging that we live in a multi-channel world, that we want to deliver an omni-channel experience, but we can only go so far. So they took a step in the direction of connecting the experience between, or what I call closing the gap between the physical world and the digital world. So what they did here is for a lot of their products, they have these videos. So this is the ultralight 850 down jacket. By the way, Joyce, did you end up buying this one? You did. She did. We worked on this for so long. We saw this picture so much that she ended up buying this jacket. What color did you get? So what happens here is you have to account for the reality of it's not just enough to have a great product detail page. You have to close the gap. So the last thumbnail on the bottom over there is a video. And I should have probably played the video, but I'm not. The video starts with this person on top of a mountain wearing said jacket and just charging down the hill. And as you're getting into the video, you get closer and closer, and you're like, yeah, that's awesome. I want to be that person skiing like that. But then you get closer and closer, and you see it wicking away moisture, and you see the puffiness, and you see all the product attributes that it's about. And then I would imagine you're like, I want that thing. Because I don't need to go into a store and touch and feel it. I feel it, I get it. So L.L.Bean is a real shining star as an exemplar of what great customer experience can be when you're truly informed by the customer experience. It's in their DNA, of course. All right, that's it. Is that enough? Okay. Okay, let's talk about customer journeys for a second here. You know, it's a tale as old as time. There's a beginning and an end to a journey. And that's a really important just acknowledgement point. While customer journeys have multiple nodes and different things going on, it starts somewhere and it ends somewhere. And if we can just get simple about it, then we can look at things like this, which is when a customer journey starts in web, 60% of those journeys end in web. We know this definitively. This is from our study of actual purchasers during the holiday season, December and November of 2016, this past year. What does everybody else do? Because this means you can't have a 100% conversion rate in web because they're going somewhere else. 26% of the people will go from web to a store. This is digital's contribution to the business. Somebody is using the web as a research vessel and then going to a store. And a small but growing percentage of people, 13 now, are going from big browser to their phone and transacting there. We know this. And we actually create these very customer journey maps for the clients that we have, the channels that we measure here. What about store? Of the people that originate their purchase journey in store, 74% of them overall stay in store. It's like marketing to them 20 years ago. No change for them. They want to be greeted. They want to be walked to a product. They want to touch and feel the product. They want to have the instant gratification of taking that thing home. It's great to know that because we can change our greeting behavior, how we engage folks. And mobile, again, both a direct and connector channel is the most unique, and it's the one that's changed the most over the course of the last year. Of the folks that originate their journey in mobile, a third of them stay and purchase in mobile. 25% of them go from their mobile device, and they might co-browse walking into the store. Hey, I'm interested in this, and they're going to buy in the store. And the rest, for a very important reason, put their phone down and go to a big browser because they literally can't see things. I mean, it's not like they can't see things, but they can't see things clearly enough. They want to pinch and zoom. They want a bigger image, and so they need a better experience. There are some sites out there that are actually quite good at allowing you to really get into the product, but not generally are we great at that. So let's think about this. First of all, it's the greatest visualization of customer journeys that I've ever seen. But 25% of mobile people go to a store. So a quarter of the people go to a store. A quarter of the web folk go to a store, to an offline channel. They're not purchasing online, nor do they want to. And a quarter of the people go from an offline experience to a digital realm. That means 75% of the people are accounted for when you do some of these metrics like conversion and things like that. In an omni-channel, multi-channel world, people genuinely are not going to convert 25% of the time. So is conversion rate the right number to run our business by? I'm not so sure. But it's a good one for us to keep an eye on. But the reality is, if we can consider how much has changed in the last 10 years in customer experience and our expectations and how much they've risen, I mean, imagine what's going to happen in the next 10 years. Now, again, we think it's our role and it's our goal to share ideas about what's happening in the next 10 years, but we have to evolve our metrics. We have to layer on customer experience on top of conversion metrics and other behavioral metrics. Real quick, I just want to take you through, of course, we have this information by generational group. Millennials have a very different experience. Less of them are starting in store. More of them are starting in mobile, but still the multi-channel reality exists. Now, we're going to get older in age in the next 2 slides. We're starting millennials, going to go Gen X and then boomers. Just have a look at the top right and look how big the end in store gets by the time we get to boomers. This is Generation X, my people, and we exhibit qualities that are very millennial-like and boomer-like also. There's, you know, there's this middle generation from a store experience, from a retail experience standpoint. And then by the time we get to the baby boomers, you can see that the digital contribution is massive. There still is an amazing amount of origination that's happening in digital, and understanding how it contributes to the total business is going to be everything. I showed you retail examples, but this is true in every industry. If you have an offline experience or a call center, retail banking with branches, hospitals with doctors and patient experience, automotive with dealers, it's all the same. Because the reality is the expectation is being set by every industry for every other industry. And when we kind of internalize that, we can really make great decisions. Which is really, the key is we want to get it right. We want to get customer experience right. It's the only way forward. And it's one of those things that I can't say it enough. You are in the right industry, at the right time, doing the right things. I look out here and I see all of you, and I've met you, and I've talked to so many of you. You're in the right industry. And now it's your job and your role, and hopefully your goal, to get it right. And we are proud to be a part of that journey with you.